Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus. Welcome to SleepBooks. Find a place of comfort and stillness. Allow your body to sink into the warmth and release any lingering tension from your day. As you settle in, gently close your eyes and let the sound of my voice guide you into a state of deep rest. Tonight, we begin our journey with a letter from a man named Robert Walton, a sea captain on an extraordinary expedition to the far north. Letter 1. Imagine you are in a quiet room in St. Petersburg, Russia. Outside, a gentle snow is falling. Inside, the fire casts a soft, dancing glow across the walls. You can hear the faint scratching of a pen on paper. This is where we find Walton writing a letter to his dear sister Margaret. He writes to reassure her, to tell her that no harm has come to him on this first stage of his great journey. He is safe, and with each passing day, his confidence grows in the success of his undertaking. He tells his sister that he is already far north of London, and as he walked through the streets of St. Petersburg just yesterday, a cold northern breeze played softly upon his cheeks, a cool, clean touch that filled him with a quiet joy. Can you feel that breeze, that fresh, invigorating air that has traveled over the frozen lands he longs to explore? It is like a first taste of the icy climes that lie ahead, and for him, it is filled with a sense of promise. He feels his spirits lifting and his daydreams becoming more vivid, more real. He finds it impossible to believe that the North Pole is a place of endless frost and desolation in his mind's eye. It is a region of breathtaking beauty, of light and wonder. He imagines it now. See with him a sun that never sets, its broad golden disk just skirting the horizon, diffusing a soft, perpetual splendor across a landscape of incredible peace. He longs to sail over a calm, glassy sea and be gently wafted to a land surpassing every region ever discovered on the habitable globe. He dreams of the secret wonders that must exist there, a country of eternal light, a place where he might discover the magnetic power that pulls the needle of a compass, or a land never before touched by the foot of man. These are the thoughts that quiet his mind and fill him with a sense of purpose so strong that it outweighs all fear. This dream has lived in his heart since he was a child. He remembers the books from his uncle's library, filled with the accounts of explorers who had sailed to the ends of the earth. He read them day and night, their stories fueling his own deep desire to go to sea. For 6 long years, he has prepared for this journey. He has voluntarily endured cold and hunger, sailed with the whale fishers to the North Sea, and spent his nights studying the very stars he will soon sail under. All of this, not for money or luxury, but for the profound satisfaction of achieving a great purpose, a steady point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. He asks his sister, "Do I not deserve to accomplish some great purpose?" And the question hangs in the air, a whisper on the wind. Now, imagine his journey to the town of Archangel. Feel the soft furs wrapped around you, keeping you warm and snug. The cold is not excessive, but a gentle reminder of the great distance he is traveling. He sits peacefully in a sledge, gliding over the snow with a pleasant, rhythmic motion, a far more agreeable journey than any he's known before. He knows that if he succeeds, he may be gone for many, many months, perhaps even years, but if he fails, he will see his sister again soon, or never. It is a thought that, for a moment, settles like a snowflake on his quiet ambition, but that moment passes, and his heart returns to its steady purpose. He wishes his dear sister blessings from heaven and sends his gratitude for her love and kindness. Letter 2. Our journey continues in the town of Archangel. where Robert Walton has arrived and the winter is slowly giving way to spring. Imagine a man in a quiet room looking out the window at the frost and the snow. He is surrounded by this vast white expanse, and he feels the passage of time slowly, so slowly. Yet a second step on his great expedition is now complete. He has hired his vessel, a strong ship, and he is now carefully gathering his crew. The men he has found so far seem dependable, their courage a steady, silent flame. But Walton has a deep and gentle longing, a need he cannot satisfy here in the frozen north. He feels a profound loneliness. When his heart glows with the promise of success, there is no one nearby to share his joy, and if he were to feel the chill of disappointment, no one would be there to gently lift his spirits. He longs for a true friend, a kind and courageous soul with a cultivated mind, who could understand and share his passion, a friend whose eyes could respond to his own in a silent moment of understanding. He feels this absence as a heavy silence in his soul. It is a quiet kind of pain to be on the brink of such a great adventure with no one to truly share it with. He thinks of his own character, how ardent he is in his enthusiasm, and how impatient he can be with difficulties. He sees the rough edges of his own self-education, and he feels a deep, quiet desire for a friend who could offer him a different perspective, someone who could guide his mind with a gentle hand and see his dreams not as a childish fancy, but as something worthy of their shared affection. But he tells himself that these thoughts are useless. He knows he will not find such a friend here, or on the wide, lonely ocean. Yet, even in this rugged place, he finds feelings of a higher nature, beating within the hearts of simple men. He thinks of his master, a person of such an excellent disposition. Imagine a man with a quiet gentleness, whose very presence brings a sense of calm and order to the entire ship. This man is known not only for his dauntless courage, but for the rare kindness of his heart. Walton feels a strong distaste for the usual brutalities of a life at sea, and he feels so fortunate to have found a leader who commands respect through his quiet nature and his gentle spirit. He tells the story of this master, a story that sounds like something from a far-off romance. Some years ago, this master fell in love with a young Russian lady. He had amassed a small fortune, and her father consented to the match. But one day, he found her in tears. She threw herself at his feet and confessed that her heart belonged to another man, a poor one, whom her father would never accept. Our generous master, upon hearing this, reassured her immediately. He asked for the name of her beloved, and with a noble heart, he gave up his pursuit. He had already purchased a farm where he planned to spend the rest of his life, but he gave the farm, along with his remaining money, to his rival, so the two young lovers could be together. He then went to the young woman's father himself and begged him to consent to the marriage. When the father still refused, thinking himself honor-bound to Walton's friend, the master quietly left the country. He did not return until he heard that the woman he loved had been happily married to the man of her choosing. A truly noble heart. Walton assures his sister that his quiet longing for a friend does not mean he is wavering in his great purpose. His resolutions are as fixed as fate itself. His voyage is simply waiting now for the weather to turn. The winter has been long and severe, but the spring promises well, and he hopes to set sail even sooner than he expected. He cannot describe the sensations he feels on the near prospect of his journey. It is a trembling feeling, half pleasurable and half fearful. He is going to unexplored regions, the land of mist and snow. He promises his sister he will not repeat the mistake of the ancient mariner, so she should have no fear for his safety. He has a belief in the marvelous, an inner conviction that pulls him out of the common pathways of men, out to the wild sea and the unvisited regions he is about to explore. He ends his letter by sending his tender love to his dear Margaret. He knows the journey ahead is long and the outcome uncertain. He asks her to continue to write to him so that he may receive her letters in the moments when he needs them most. Letter 3. We find Captain Walton again, this time on the open sea, writing a short note in haste. A merchant vessel is heading for home, and he seizes the opportunity to send a few lines to his dear sister, Margaret. He writes to her that he is safe and well, and that his ship is well advanced on its voyage. His heart is full, not with anxiety, but with a quiet sense of triumph. He knows that the merchantman is heading homeward, a destination he may not see again for many, many years. But this thought does not sadden him. It simply focuses his spirit. Imagine the ship gliding across the vast blue expanse of the ocean. The floating sheets of ice drift past them, silent and majestic. They are warnings of the dangers ahead, yet the men are not afraid. Their purpose is firm. The ice is simply a part of the landscape, a beautiful silent testament to the wild beauty of this region. Though they have reached a very high latitude, and though it is the height of summer, the air is not as warm as it would be in England. But a gentle southern gale blows from behind them, pushing them quickly toward the shores they so ardently desire to reach. Feel this wind as Walton does. It is a renovating warmth, a promise of renewal he had not expected. It's a comforting breath of air in a cold, lonely place. So far, nothing significant has happened, nothing to write home about. As he says, a few small gales, a leak in the ship, but these are small things to an experienced sailor. He feels a deep peace in this lack of major incident, a sense of good fortune. He bids farewell to his dear Margaret, assuring her that he will not be rash, he will be cool, he will be persevering, and he will be prudent. Then, for a moment, his heart, which has been so steady, wells up with a powerful, quiet conviction. But success shall crown my endeavors, he thinks to himself. Why not? He has come so far already, tracing a secure path over these pathless seas. The very stars above, the same stars you might see in your own night sky, are witnesses to his journey. He feels a profound connection to them, and they feel like a silent testimony to his triumph. Why not continue, he muses. What can truly stop the determined heart and the resolved will of a person who has set a course and follows it with unwavering purpose? This quiet conviction, this profound sense of self-belief, fills his heart for a moment before he gently brings his thoughts back to his sister. He sends her his love and a final blessing. Letter 4. Our story now takes an unexpected turn. The silence of the sea is broken by a strange and marvelous event. Walton writes to his sister, telling her of a peculiar occurrence, one that has brought an unimaginable presence to his ship. Imagine the ship a few weeks prior, surrounded by a thick, heavy fog. The ice has slowly closed in, encircling the vessel on all sides. The sea is still, the air is quiet, and the world is a small, silent circle of water in a limitless plain of mist. The crew lies still, waiting, hoping for a change in the atmosphere. Then, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the mist begins to clear away, slowly revealing a vast and endless landscape of ice stretching out in every direction. It is a quiet, desolate sight. Some of the sailors let out a quiet groan, their anxieties stirring. But then, a strange and remarkable sight appears in the distance. Half a mile away, they see a small carriage on a sledge, pulled by a team of dogs. In the sledge sits a figure, a being shaped like a man, but with a stature of a gigantic size. They watch with their telescopes as this solitary, silent figure moves swiftly towards the north, eventually disappearing into the distant, uneven landscape of the ice. This apparition fills them with a deep, quiet wonder. They believed they were hundreds of miles from land, yet this mysterious traveler suggests they are not as far away as they thought, but with the ship still locked in the ice, they cannot follow his track. A few hours later, a new sound can be heard, the ground sea, a deep and resonant sound beneath the ice, and before the night falls, the great ice breaks apart, freeing the ship from its confinement. The crew remains still, however, waiting for the morning light to reveal the large, loose masses of ice floating around them in the dark. The next morning, as soon as the light returns, Walton goes up on deck. He finds his sailors gathered on one side of the vessel, talking softly to someone in the sea. It is another sledge, similar to the one they saw before, but this one has drifted to their ship on a large fragment of ice. Only one dog remains alive, but within the sledge is a human being, a European man, whom the sailors are gently persuading to come on board. As Walton approaches, the master says, "Here is our captain, and he will not allow you to perish on the open sea." The stranger looks at Walton and speaks in English, though with a foreign accent. He asks a most unusual question for a man on the brink of death. "Before I come on board," he says, "will you have the kindness to inform me whither you are bound?" Walton is astonished, but he tells the stranger that they are on a voyage of discovery towards the northern pole. Upon hearing this, the man appears satisfied and consents to come on board. He is a man in a truly wretched condition. His limbs are nearly frozen, and his body is dreadfully emaciated from the long ordeal. They carry him to the cabin, but the sudden heat is too much for him, and he faints. They bring him back on deck, gently rub him with brandy, and slowly his strength returns. He is wrapped in warm blankets and placed near the chimney of the kitchen stove. Over the next 2 days, he is silent, slowly regaining his health. Walton often fears that his suffering has robbed him of his understanding, but as the man slowly recovers, Walton moves him to his own cabin, where he can care for him with a gentle hand. He is a fascinating man. His eyes hold a wildness, a deep and troubling sadness, but there are moments when an act of kindness is shown to him, that his entire face lights up with a fleeting beam of benevolence and sweetness. When the stranger has recovered enough to speak, the lieutenant asks him a simple question: "Why did you come so far upon the ice in so strange a vehicle?" The man's face instantly fills with the deepest gloom, and he replies, "To seek one who fled from me." He confirms that the man he pursued was in a similar sledge. He is told that the sailors believe they saw him, and a new life animates the stranger's weary body. He asks 1,000 questions about the route his pursuer took, whom he refers to as a daemon. He asks to go on deck to watch, but Walton lovingly persuades him to stay in the cabin, promising that someone will watch for him. Walton's affection for his guest increases every day. He feels a deep pity and admiration for this noble creature who has been destroyed by some unknown misery. He finds him so gentle and so wise, his mind cultivated, his words flowing with a rapid and unparalleled eloquence. He is now much recovered and is continually on the deck, his eyes fixed on the horizon. One day, Walton shares with his guest his own great ambition. He speaks of the knowledge he seeks and the dominion he hopes to acquire. As he speaks, a dark gloom spreads over his listener's face. Tears trickle from between his fingers, and a deep groan bursts from his chest. Finally, the stranger speaks in a broken voice. "Unhappy man, Do you share my madness? Have you drunk also of the intoxicating draught? Hear me. Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips. Overcome with a profound grief, he must rest for many hours before he can continue. But when he has quieted his feelings, he tells Walton that he will recount his tale. He knows that Walton's own passion and ambition for discovery are what led him down a path that rendered him what he is today. He hopes his story will serve as a moral, a cautionary tale to guide Walton should he succeed or fail. And so Walton prepares to hear this strange and harrowing story. Every night, he will commit the narrative to his own journal, recording the words of his guest. He knows that his fate is irrevocably determined, but he hopes that by telling his tale, he may prevent Walton from making the same mistakes. Now, as you imagine the deep, sad voice of this man and the soft, vast expanse of the ocean around you, let your mind drift peacefully into a deep and tranquil sleep.